coming to the game and you shouldn't pull on her. So in today's video, that's what we're talking about. All of the reasons why you shouldn't be pulling on Yunli. First, I will go over like my general analysis of Yunli before talking about all the cons that I see with her, because I do think she is a pretty solid unit. I think she'll rank pretty highly on Pride Wins tier list, and I think she can help a lot of people's accounts out. So I don't want to get that misconstrued, especially since the title is why you as a free-to-play player shouldn't summon for Yunli, because I genuinely think there are reasons why you as a free-to-play player shouldn't be summoning for this character. So I want to go ahead and first give you my generalized thoughts, because I know I'm going to get a lot of shit in the comments and dislikes on the video. That's just to be expected with these types of videos. Overall, guys, what I think about Yunli is I think she is very, very strong, right? I think she is a direct upgrade to Clara, which in many cases is a very good thing, right? Considering with how good Clara is even now in the game, she is one of the better 5-star characters, and to get an upgrade to that is an absolute W in my opinion. On top of this, I think she's a very universal DPS, meaning you can throw her in kind of whatever scenario you want to throw her in and she'll just kind of work there. I'm not going to say that she would work the best there over like the best, I guess, team in that situation, but I do think she can provide a substantial help to a lot of those teams. Not to say that that's the best team in slot, right? To me, she is like a jack of all trades. I don't think she's a master of any one thing, but when you see a jack of all trades, I think of Gwenifin, right? Gwenifin is a jack of all trades. Well, she doesn't really do anything like the best, right? She can do those things. With Yunli, I think she's a jack of all trades, but does everything pretty well, right? Like, as far as damage output, I think her damage output's absolutely amazing, right? It might be backloaded. We'll talk about that later on in the video, but her damage output there, she has self-sustainability. She can easily break enemy shield. She's like kind of what I would want in like the beginning stages of Honkai style roles, like a DPS, right? Something they can heal themselves up a little bit even, and then deal a good amount of damage. Overall, I do think she's a great pickup for a lot of people's accounts, especially if you're just starting the game. I think she can help out in a lot of different modes and a lot of different things. So kind of with my general thoughts out of the way now, let's go ahead and talk about the cons of this character and why you shouldn't be pulling on them. Hey gamers, quick little editor's note here. I know it sounds like in the video I'm saying Yunli, but that's just how my accent sounds. I'm actually saying Yunli, okay guys? My accent just sounds that way. So first guys, I think that she is a very mixed bag, right? She's a jack of all trades, master of none, and I think this applies to her as well. I see her as a garbage disposal unit, not saying she's bad. I consider Clara and Blade both garbage disposal units, meaning you can throw them on whatever team you want. They get a good amount of extra damage out for you, but they really don't have a perfect fit, right? Like, I don't think we saw a perfect fit for Blade until recently with like Jade, and even then, it's not like a perfect fit. It helps them out a lot, sure, but it's still not the perfect fit he's looking for, right? I think there are much better options to run teams because these characters are like pseudo sustain characters or pseudo like preservation characters, because you're going to be wanting to take the brunt of the attacks from them, meaning you can surely put a healer on the team, right, or something like that, but overall you're wanting to run a hyper carry team with these characters in a most general sense, right? Like, you don't really want to run like debuffers on the team because most of her damage is coming from her ultimate move, meaning you want to be boosting up her ultimate as much as possible and getting it up as frequently as possible, especially compared to someone like Clara, which has the, you know, her energy cap is here and then you have to pop it off and oh man, I just wasted energy. With her, you can actually overfill energy and have multiple stacks or multiple charges of her ultimate move, which is a really nice thing to see here, especially because she's getting attacked so often, so you might want to hold ult off into a certain point, and she allows you to do that, which is really good. But like I said, she doesn't really have like a perfect fit for a team, right? Like, I think her best team is probably just going to be a hyper carry team, right? Like, she can work on follow-up teams, she can work on teams with March 7th, right? But her best team overall is probably going to be something like a Robin, Hua Hua, and a Ting Yun, just to supercharge her energy and do as much damage as humanly possible, right? That is probably going to be her best in slot, right? And that's why I say that she doesn't have like a perfect fit for a team. You can throw her in teams and her damage will drop quite a bit on those teams because you're focusing on your other DPS to deal damage, but that's not to say that she doesn't work on those teams. She just doesn't have like a perfect slot in my opinion right now. And that kind of leads me into point number 2 now. With this being the case, I think she is going to lose relevancy faster than other characters in the game. When she first comes out, I think she's going to be really good. She's going to do a lot of damage, and I think she's going to be, I think you're going to enjoy your time playing with her, right? But I think she's going to lose a lot of relevancy fast, and I think that's just because of how her kit works, right? A lot of her damage is backload damage. She is, like I said before, like a direct upgrade to Clara, and you've seen Clara take the backseat in a lot of different situations. Many people really don't play with Clara anymore, and I think that's going to be the same exact situation option for her overall because of her being like that garbage disposal unit, a unit you can throw in any team like a jack of all trades. That means if you get the best in slot for these teams, you're probably not gonna run her on the team unless you're like in a super niche scenario where you need to use her on that team to actually beat the event, right? But back to what I was mentioning before about the backloaded damage, a lot of her damage is backloaded and very reliant on an enemy attacking you. If she's not getting attacked, she's not hitting big amounts of her damage off with her follow-up attack. This means if you're facing enemies that have like less mobs on the field, you're going to be attacking less with her, which means she has less overall damage output. If you're facing an enemy that does maybe one big swooping attack that hits you one time for a massive amount of your HP, she's not getting as much value back because that's a one-time hit. So that's one follow-up she's going to do. Versus like situations like Pure Fiction or I guess maybe even like Apocalyptic Shadow, right? Where you have a lot of enemies on the field that are constantly attacking you. That is where she is going to be golden at. But outside of those situations, I don't think she's going to be as good in those situations because her ultimate can proc off and you can get the lesser version of it. And with her talents, you can get the Cole on her ultimate move. And I know that's kind of confusing, but her ultimate move does have like 2 attacks. She has Cole and then Insight or something like that. I don't know the 2 names of it. I know the big one is Cole, the one you want to be using the most of. And she has a talent that can upgrade one of those to the next version. But that's the problem, right? Is if no one's attacking you and you pop your ultimate move off and she's having to randomly pop her follow-up attack off on a random enemy, you're doing less damage there because Cole is your main source of damage. So that means if you time this up incorrectly and you don't play her correctly, you are going to get a lot less damage out of her. Now, that's not to say that she's not going to be an easy character to play because she's literally just depending on the enemy attacking you, right? So you want to have her in optimal position on your team so she's getting hit the most often, probably one of the middle 2 characters. So if you're facing an enemy that maybe does like a blast attack, right? So that means every 3 out of 4 attacks will be hitting her if the enemy is doing a blast attack. And on top of this, if you're facing someone with single target attack, you're going to be wanting her to be focused anyways, right? And all in all, genuinely, guys, I think she holds the same amount of value as Dr. Ratio does. And the reason I say this is if you were to face an enemy with Topaz, right? Let's say you were to put her on a Topaz or a follow-up team, right? Because that's her main bread and butter is follow-up attacks. And you're facing an imaginary enemy, you're not going to run her on the team, right? You're going to run Dr. Ratio and vice versa. If you're facing someone with a physical weakness that doesn't have imaginary weakness, you're probably going to run her instead. Now, do I think she holds more value than Dr. Ratio? Absolutely. I think she is more valuable than Dr. Ratio. And my version of value versus Pride Wins or anyone else's version of value is very different. I consider value off the amount of teams she can be ran on. Dr. Ratio can't really be slotted in any other team in work, while she can be slotted in just about any team in work. I'm just saying in terms of like values on a follow-up team or a team that revolves around Topaz, she holds the same amount of value in that team, right? And I think that does carry over to other teams as well, right? Like if you don't have the main DPS for that team, you throw her in, she kind of works well for that team, right? But when you get that main DPS, she loses the value there, then you throw them in because they perform better than she does. And now let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, the banner. Oh. This banner is kind of yikes, guys. It has Lynx, Yukong, and Hanya. Hanya? What is she doing there? Anyways, I know what she's doing there, guys. I know why Yukong's there. They haven't got reruns in God knows how long. Maybe because they're not the best, like, support characters in the game and they need a banner to throw them on. But come on, guys. We could have thrown one good unit in there, right? Ooh. Now, I will say, I think Yukong and her can work pretty nicely together, especially if you can speed tune it correctly. You use Yukong's skill, you use her ultimate move, get a crit rate, crit damage bonus, attack bonus. For her coming up, she is going to do an absolute massive damage with her counter, which then if you're running on our team with like maybe Yukong, Ting Yun, and also Hoa Hoa, you're getting extra energy back not only for Yukong, but also Yunli as well, meaning you can supercharge her ult, which means you can maybe take more use of Yukong's buff because it will be lasting for 2 of your own characters' turns. So if you can time it up correctly, maybe you have E6. E6 is going to be absolutely essential here for this. But I'm saying I don't think Yukong is the worst option here, honestly. And I will be making a follow-up build guide for Yukong with all the new sets and everything in the game because I do think that these characters that like have a lot of follow-up potential that play off their own turns are a lot more viable for characters like Yukong, and I think it makes her even better, right? Now, Hanya, I don't know what Hanya is doing here. I don't know who Hanya is really supporting here. I feel like even though Hanya hasn't got a rerun in a while, they probably could have swapped out Hanya for maybe a Ting Yun here, or literally someone else to help out Yunli here, and then threw her on Part 2's banners or something like that, right? Like, we don't need We don't need Hanya here, right? I don't think Hanya really supports anything. I think the only character that really supports things here is going to be Yukong. Lynx is a fine option, but Gallagher, I think, is just overall better. Even if you're not running him on a break team, I think Gallagher is overall better. We just got him last patch. And I guess if I'm being real about it, this is me going on a tangent right now. I feel like we need another 4-star preservation unit. I feel like we need that, right? We need more 4-star sustained characters. We just need more 4 stars in the game in general. A video will be out on that in the future talking about all my current issues with Honkai Star Rail, because I do have quite a few issues. I'm still enjoying the game a lot, obviously, but I do have some issues with the game that I would like to see addressed. And that kind of leads me into our last point now of mentioning 4 stars. Of 2.5 is going to have a 4-star on it. And on top of that, we're getting our Foxy Mommy General there too. Hey, yo, they had to move the date back from 9/11 to 9/10 because she's Airstrike Mommy, but hey, it is what it is, right? And we're also getting a free March 7th this patch as well, so maybe that could quell you over, because I think March 7th is going to be great to build on your account. I think it is one unit you should be building on your account. I think she's absolutely amazing, honestly, guys. But I think 2.5 will offer more value than what this patch can offer, but I'm going to be making... I have a lot of videos coming out, guys. We have a video coming out March 7th. We're going to have a video coming out on Yukong build. We're going to have a video coming out on my issues with this. And we're also going to have a video coming out on why you should be saving for 2.5 as well. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully, you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe if you haven't already. This is probably going to get a lot of hate, so I would really appreciate if you've made it to this point in the video, the end of the video. Hit that subscribe button, gamers. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Hopefully, you enjoyed. Bye, guys. See you later.